Okay, so this video will be about it's gonna be a tattoo talk talking about tattoos and this kind of thing. And first, before I start this video, I want to say I am not a tattoo artist. I'm a tattoo collector. That means I collect tattoos and this kind of things. So maybe I will say something that maybe is incorrect or not. So you have to understand this. I just say what I know so far and this kind of thing. About this subject, about this kind of thing. So let's start. Okay, when you have to understand, like, color tattoos works on every skin tone, but on okay, it's my cat, on every skin tone. But you have, when you put different color, obviously what kind of contrast you use, how light the ink is compared to how dark the skin is, side by side. Obviously you always have to complement the colors together to make it more likelier to work. So you cannot have, for example, a very light color on a very dark skin. On a very dark skin. So yeah, on a very dark skin. And so the thing is that I think you have to do is always you have to complement the colors. You have, for example, very dark, you have to have light and dark to put out the darker more, and you have darker in the background, the lighter, and so on. And obviously what kind of skin undertone you have is also mattering what kind of color you have. For example, on me, if I use, for example, color that is purple, okay, I'm coming back soon. Wait. Okay, sorry for that. That was my cat. Okay, the thing is that color tattoos works on people with darker skin tones, but you just have to find the right color that match up with the under skin tone you have, not the skin you see, but the undertone. And you can see if it's some kind of app called Color Grab that you check with that, so then you can see the undertone. And obviously, because you can, like, when you mix color together, if the color is, for example, if you mix wrong color together, that will turn up very muddy and very will not look as good as it will be originally if you mix the color in the wrong way. And with this kind of thing, and obviously because when, for example, when you have, for example, my skin tone or darker my skin tone and so on, from there, if you have, for example, the color yellow and you put it on the skin, the yellow will not be yellow when the tattoo is healed on the skin. The yellow will turn more like a peanut butter brown, almost like in peanut butter, this kind of coloring brown. Then the yellow, and obviously if it's different version of yellow, if it's like the dark yellow, light yellow, banana green yellow, obviously what kind of yellow is different. So obviously different yellow will have different result when the tattoo that color healed on the skin. The same for example, if you talk about, for example, purple. If it's many different nuance of purple, like you can have very very light purple, then you can have almost like black purple that's almost like look like black, and then you have it in the middle. So obviously it's always a different version of purple will have different result on when they healed on the skin, will have different how obviously every color will be toned down a bit when the tattoo have healed, some more than others, and I cannot say what number. For example, I cannot say why, for example, red works so well when they heal, for example, on darker skin tones, comparable to yellow, because both of them are colors. Both of them are made in similar ways when they do is tattooing. Obviously, what kind of companies that the ink is from, obviously. But if you if you talk about Ink Eternal, so the different materials to make the color. So obviously yellow is always a weaker color than red, because red is almost always stronger. If you paint red on the wall, on a paper, on a wooden thing, other kind of thing, the red is almost always stronger than yellow. So if the yellow is, when yellow heal on skin, going to be much more weaker, more as not as strong as red is on the skin. So always all of the tattooing colors have different numbers. How strong they will stand on the skin when they healed on the skin. From the start, when you go to the tattoo studio, you get the tattoo with that colors. From the 3 weeks later, when the tattoo is the scabs start to fall off, and the tattoo start to heal. The color will not be exactly the same volume as it was from the beginning when the tattoo was done in the studio, and some colors stand up much better than other colors on different skin tones. Some colors works really bad, some color works really good, and obviously that depends what kind of undertone you have. And lots of time it's like, for example, purple and yellow, a color that is not so much recommended on people with darker skin tones, because the purple, I don't know really exactly why, but the purple, something with the purple makes it, always what kind of light purple will work really really bad, because when they heal it will almost look like this, you have no purple, because purple will be so light on the skin, on the darker skin tones. And that is interesting, because if you mix blue and red together, like you have 10 drops of blue and you have 10 drops of red, then you get purple. So you have, and that is the thing here, that you have one of the colors that is mixed to be purple is red, and red is a color that is strongly recommended on darker skin tone. On every skin tone is red a very good color, works. It's a very strong color. But that can be that maybe that blue is that the problem with blue maybe is that blue is a same color as maybe do not work as well on darker skin tones, and that can be because you have blue in the mixture with red and blue. That can be that it's more likely because in somehow blue with the red will neutralize each other when they are put together in under skin tones, if the darker skin tone, and it will be very problematic. Because the undertone, maybe if you have red undertone, if you have yellow undertone or orange undertone, that can be the mixture where the undertone can be start a problem with that. It can be the color get very muddy, and this kind of thing. And so, but the interesting thing here is that green is yellow and blue, and green works very well on my on me. And on many other people with darker skin tone, green is the color that works much more likely to work on darker skin tone than yellow or purple will. So the interesting here is that you have yellow and blue together is green, and you get green in that way. That works on dark skin tone. But then if you mix red and blue, that is purple, it's more unlikely to work on darker skin tones. So that means it's probably not mixed because of the blue. It's something else and maybe that is the undertone, or something in the how that purple is made, comparable to other color how they are made, even if they belong to the same company. So it's very interesting how. Example, okay, obviously I simplify it very much now, and I have to be more correct here, is that I only have tried 2 different purple, and that is light purple. It was the first purple I ever tried, and I also tried dark purple. That was later on. Dark purple was more visible than the light purple on my skin, but not as much, but more than the light purple. But it was still too unclear to see purple if you not look very closely on the tattoo. Then you can see a bit purple on it, but not as comparable, for example, as my other color tattoo. Example, as I have green, I have tried turquoise blue, I have tried one version of magenta, and I have tried orange, I have tried red, and I have tried yellow. So the color I know works the best on me is red is number one. Black, red. Number 3 is green. Number 4 I probably would say magenta, and number 5 is turquoise blue. And the worst of them was absolutely light purple. Was the worst, and so yellow so yellow will work better on my skin. Yellow will you see? Yellow. You turn into yellowish brown. So yellowish brown will be more visible on the skin, even if the color will be colored. Then and purple was absolutely the light purple was absolutely the worst of them, because that was healed really bad on the skin. It healed well in that sense because everything was no infection, not this kind of thing. But when the color was healed, it was very, 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 very hard to see if that even was purple. If you just see the tattoo and you look at my tattoo with the purple, I have to tell you that was purple, but it's because it was so weak on the skin. And that is also very important. I think it's very, very important with contrast, with light to dark. And you always should, every time talk with your tattoo artist about this kind of thing, a long time before even before you get that tattoo, because it's so important that you know what kind of contrast that will be. For example, if you have your hand and or your arm, you put it and you take a picture of the arm, that place, or your place where you want the tattoo. Obviously, different places on the skin will be lighter or darker, because the more place when the sun is more visible on, the more darker the skin will get, comparable to places when the skin is more hidden behind clothes and this kind of thing. So this is, you have take a picture, put that beside the purple, and and you turn it, the contrast, so you see the black and white together, and then you will see how much contrast that will be in that purple. And maybe then if the purple is too little contrast, maybe you have to have something in the background around the purple to make it so your purple is more visible. So you maybe have to have something that is lighter than a purple in some way to make the purple look more darker, in this kind of thing, to make it more contrast. So I know the thing I know I can use is like magenta. Magenta is obviously you have more blue than red color, but you still have a little bit of red in the blue, red and blue, but much more red and blue to get magenta. And you have to get exact number of blue and red to get magenta. And obviously, if you have white and red, you get pink, and this kind of thing. And the same for turquoise blue is white. It's white, blue, yellow, and green together is turquoise blue. And turquoise blue is a warmer color. And so there's lots of time, if you have your undertone is red, for example, then your color choice should be warmer colors, if your undertone is much more cold, if you have a colder undertone, you should focusing more on the on colder colors. For example, like blue and blue and this kind of thing, the colder color. And so red is the warm and the blue is colder. So the turquoise blue is a mixture of like warm and cold together to make it more visible on the skin. Um, so you can get that instead of blue, for example. Um, so that is one thing you can always do with color tattoos, and also how big the tattoo is, also how much contrast and line. If the tattoo is bigger on the skin, you have bigger, like if the bigger and small, the bigger one will be more visible on the skin because it's big, and it's more. Then it's because, and you always have line around it, so it will work much better if the tattoo is bigger than smaller. For smaller tattoos with lots of details, you have to be sure then the color is right. If the color is wrong when the tattoo is healed, it will be very, very problematic because it's a difference in some sense with the tattoo when the tattoo is healed on the skin, and comparable when the tattoo is done when it's new and fresh when it's healed, because when the tattoo starts to sink into the skin when the scabs fall off and the tattoo is be healed. So if you have the tattoo is very small on this, very little, then you have lots of detail on it. When the tattoo heal, the problem with that is that some of the colors, like maybe will be will be will be gone. For example, if you have white lining in the background, for example, if it has clouds or these kind of things, and there is a reason, for example, why I do not want to have, when I get tattoos, do not want to have white ink in to make the tattoo lighter if the tattoo is very, very dark, because I think white will muddy sometimes the tattoo ink on darker skin tones. So I think personally, I think it's much better to have some kind of special water. I don't know the name of the water, but some water they use instead of white ink to make the color more lighter. But you still have to be very careful how light is the tattoo originally will be without the white ink or without the water on the skin. So I think that is very important before you have to know this kind of thing before you get the tattoo lighter, because if the tattoo is dark and then turn to light and you have more light in it, it will be much more lighter. Then it's going to be very hard to see the tattoo on the skin, because because your skin is dark and you have dark to light and skin, because you have to have something around that to make it more visible, and so obviously you have to maybe so you see it much and this kind of thing. So and even if some color, even if you have like black lines around that, for example, even then the color can be vanish on the skin, be very hard to see because it's something with the undertone. And I'm not 100% sure if that is the only thing. That is, if you just know the undertone, that is the only problem. I think this maybe some more things. I cannot say for certainty. But some color works on darker skin tones, and other colors can work, but you have to maybe have some compromise. For example, if you not can have blue, for example, you can have turquoise blue. Maybe if you not can have, for example, purple, you maybe can have, instead of purple, you can have magenta, or you can have red violet. That is more red than blue, but more, this kind of thing, more red and blue. But and when you mix it, like you have to, maybe when you mix purple, maybe you have 10 drops of blue and 10 drops, for example, as red to make purple. And if you make red violet, you maybe have 11 drops of red and maybe have 9 drops of blue, and you get red violet. Always what kind of how dark the red violet will be, and how light red violet you want, and so on. It's always what kind of how much and white ink you have, and this kind of thing, to get it to work much better. And yeah, so that is the thing that you can do, I think. And obviously how big the tattoo is on the skin and this kind of thing, or what kind of dark line work you have around it, and so on. I think, so that is one thing you always can do. But I think always look at contrast side by side to your skin and to the tattoo ink you want, to that the tattoo color, tattoo ink, the color you want to that tattoo before you do the tattoo, so you see the contrast. If you see how will, and you also to see this kind of thing, and you should always talk with your tattoo artist about this kind of thing, about these things. And that's probably everything I really want to say, is that about this kind of thing. And obviously maybe I say something wrong in this video. You have everything what I say in this video is very important. You understand that you look around for different sources on the internet, and you talk with your tattoo artist about these kind of things, because every person will say different things, because every person get different information from different sources on the internet, or they get from people they know that maybe work as tattoo artists, or this kind of thing. So it's very, very important, because tattoos is something that should always be something that looks good for you and that you are happy with. And because then you should be very, very, very careful, because you should always go to professionals, and you should always, it's much better to save money and pay for something that you know that you will be happy with the rest of your life. And just because some things that looks very well will be very expensive, because they take a long time to do. There's a lot of details in this kind of thing, and that is what I mean, is that it's always good to look around. These tattoos should take time. You should look around on the internet to find the right tattoo artist that know how to work with you and this kind of thing, and so you always get the best result about this when you get tattoos and this kind of thing, to make it more easy. So it's something. You should never rush a tattoo. You should never just, this tattoo is cheap, I want this, bam, and then you get very disappointed, and this kind of thing. So look around, ask different tattoo artists about this kind of thing, and they maybe will say different things to you. Then you look around, and then you try to find so much similarity as possible. And obviously you have, which I said before, with the skin undertone, the contrast, and obviously in this kind of thing, how dark the skin is, how light the ink is. You always have to have the right combination with the color, so you know that the color is not going to be too light, not too dark, but in the right balance. It works well on the skin and this kind of thing. Obviously your skin will get darker when you are when the climate is warmer and stronger sunlight and this kind of thing, comparable when it's more like winter in some places in the world. So you always have a different nuance of the color, because the skin will get darker, and so on, and this kind of thing. So this is everything I really want to say. Okay.